Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tell Me Why, a short, sharp, well, we hope sharp podcast for busy Beatles people on the go who want to be in the know. So, in the next around a half hour, we hope to bring you something that makes you want to get up, pack your bags, and get ready to go because we've got a fantastic event and a fantastic speaker today on the program. But before we get to that, very quickly, a quick thank you to everyone who ordered some forever because we have 12 copies left. If you want the second half of 1965, here's the first half. Here's the second half. Oh my gosh, 1965 is a tome. But if you want the second half, which is Shea Stadium, meeting Elvis, writing and recording Rubber Soul, the MBE, and the very last UK tour, and a bunch of other stuff, get it while the getting's good because we are almost out thanks to all of you. And I really and truly and sincerely appreciate it. Now, on to even more important things. Our guest today is very special to me. Not only is she a dear friend, but she is one of the busiest people in the Beatles world. I thought about getting hats and putting all of these events on hats because she wears many. First of all, she is a distinguished author. This is one of her books. This is Songs We Were Singing, guided tours through the Beatles' lesser known tracks. I'm using this book, I've used it on many occasions, and I'm using it right now because I'm writing an article on John's Anytime at All. And it's covered in here. She also wrote Michael Jackson FAQ. Great book. And some of you have just seen the Michael Jackson movie. This is a great follow-up to viewing that movie, and I'm sure that you can get it on Amazon. She also wrote Fandom and The Beatles. And this book talks about the phenomenon of fan following, which is still going on today. It's incredible. And it's a book that she co-edited with Ken Womack, and you will definitely want to pick this up. It's on Amazon, and the subtitle is The Act You've Known for All These Years. So make sure that you pick that one up. She has been part of many books that are anthologies. This is one, The Beatles in Context. Just busy as an author. But that's not all because she is a respected podcaster. She is on the podcast Toppermost of the Poppermost with Ed Chen and Martin Quibell. And hopefully we will talk a little bit more about that later in the show. And in May, she became a member of the distinguished podcast Things We Said Today. And we are definitely going to be discussing that in just a few minutes. She is a speaker and a teacher. She spoke for years at our beloved Fest for Beatles Fans in New York Metro, Chicago. My guess is she probably was at Las Vegas, and I know that she was in Los Angeles because we shared a booth in Los Angeles, and we sat next to the wonderful Ira Davis, who wrote the cover quote for this book, and we miss him and we think of him every day. She is an associate editor and a contributor to Beatlefan magazine, and if you guys don't know Beatlefan magazine, you should. It is so respected, and we both of us write for it, and it is just when I have to write for Beatlefan, I'm like writing with a lump in my throat the whole time, like I gotta get this right. So she is an associate editor for Beatlefan and a teacher at Monmouth University, and we're going to talk about that more in a few minutes. The quote that Ira Davis wrote on this book is the one that I would like to use to introduce her. Kit O'Toole is the definitive go-to girl when it comes to all things Beatle. Read, enjoy, and be enlightened. Yeah, and definitely, yeah. Welcome to the show, Kit.
Wow, you don't need me to do anything else now, Drew. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Oh, thank you so much. What an intro. I need you as my hype woman from now on, I think, at different events.
be your official introducer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I would be honored to do that.
Oh, it's great to be here, Jude.
Well, and I hope your parents are doing well.
They're doing well and keeping cool in the warm weather and everything. And, their mom just turned 92, dad's turning 90 in August. So
Crazy. I mean, they do not look that at all. I
I
saw
know.
a picture on her brother. They look great. So,
Yep,
wow.
absolutely.
Well, okay, you and Ken Womack, incredible. You guys are busy, busy, busy. I don't know how you do all you do. And I know that you and I both are so excited to be involved in his new project coming up November 6th through the 8th in Asbury Park, New Jersey, at the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel, the Everything Fab Four or EF4 Fest. I can't wait to hear. I don't know. So tell us about your presentation there, what you'll be talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm so excited to go. It was just a blast last year, and happy to be back. I'm actually part of a panel with a couple other friends of mine. Um, One of Tom Pace, who came up with the concept for this panel, which is basically looking at Revolver as kind of a bricolage, a kind of a bunch of found objects, as it's called in that term, that is fashioned together but in a new way. That's kind of the general topic. My topic is called Tell Me That You've Heard Every Sound There Is, Unusual Genres Reflected in Revolver's Sound.
Ooh.
Yep. And you know this, and others who've seen my talks know I love exploring the roots of the Beatles. I love learning about the different genres that have influenced them. And what I'm doing with this is I'm looking at what they were listening to at, around the time that they were recording Revolver. And if you look at their personal jukeboxes, it's very revealing. Last year, I talked about it in terms of soul music. It was the soul of Rubber Soul, that all of them were listening to soul. But when you look at their jukeboxes in 66, very different. You're getting early versions of punk, what would become progressive rock, what would become jazz fusion, of course, Indian influences. Really unusual stuff. Frank Zappa, the Fugs, so many other groups. And clearly, these played a huge part in this experimental, phase they were in when they were creating Revolver. So I'm going to walk you through some of the songs that were on particularly Paul's and Ringo's jukeboxes, and talk about how these artists influenced this incredible uh, creative spurt that they were going through, and how it influenced like Tomorrow Never Knows or Rain, or the others that are the most quotes out there on the album. But when you find out what they were listening to at that time, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. For everyone listening out there, I know when you're hearing Kit say jukebox, you're thinking the colorful
yeah.
domed machine that we have now, but it was kind of like a printer, wasn't it, Kit? It looked
Yeah.
like a printer, and John's held 40 records. That's it. And
Mhm.
so he was by 66, he's scratching out things and inserting other things because you
Mhm.
can't have more than 40 records. And
Sure.
it's I just talked with Lawrence Strauss,
Mhm.
who has written the definitive website on John's Jukebox. Super nice guy.
Oh, cool.
You might want to visit with him.
Yeah, I may do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I said, Lawrence, you should write an article on this. And he goes, why? I did a website. So that's the coolest topic.
Yep. I just love looking, as I said, at what they were listening to at the time, what was on the charts at the time, because they were just sponges, weren't they? I mean, they really absorbed all these different influences. But of course, what set the Beatles apart from so many other groups is they didn't just, regurgitate the sounds. They made them their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in the fact that you said Ringo's jukebox is one of the ones you're really considering. So you see Ringo with even being influenced by some of these new sounds.
Absolutely. You'll find out about a couple of songs he had on his jukebox that were basically early versions of jazz fusion. Now, he was a jazz fan to an extent because, I'm blanking. Gene Krupa. Gene Krupa was one of his huge influences as a drummer, and also he listened to some jazz.
Yeah,
But this was more pretty progressive jazz for its time.
yeah,
So Ringo deserves more credit than he gets for being, really having eclectic tastes
yeah.
in music.
That's going to be a really interesting presentation.
Yep,
And
looking forward to it.
I hope you and I aren't at the same time so I can come
I
hear
know.
it.
I know it always seems that way, doesn't it? And now I'm actually going to be on a couple other panels. Just briefly mentioning Susan Ryan, our good friend Susan Ryan. She has a panel, kind of a historians panel like we do at Fest, and also, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but things we said today, we are going to have a panel there and record it for a future episode. So,
You're going
and
to be like, it is the same thing
yep.
where you are going this way and then you're going this way. You are going to be busy.
I know it keeps me out of trouble.
Will it though? A question.
Yeah,
That is yet to be seen.
that's
Well,
right.
I want everyone to know that at Beatles at the Ridge, which is held every September in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, 6 years back to back, Kit spoke, and she is the only speaker ever at that festival who received a standing ovation for her presentation. So you do not want to miss her talk at EF4. And both Kit and I want to tell you everything Fab Four Fest is not just a quote unquote scholarly fest, although it will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope to give you the kind of quality presentation where you will go home and say, wow, I really learned something this weekend. That was something I didn't know. But this is for everybody. This is for Beatles fans and new fans of the Beatles and anybody who wants to come and have a great weekend. And where would I start? Right there with Dr. Kit O'Toole because
Uh,
she's gonna, it's gonna be entertaining, isn't it, Kit?
yeah, it absolutely will, and that's a very good point, Jude, because some of the like the panels I just mentioned that I'm going to be on, Susan's and things we said today, those are more discussion. I mean, we're not sitting and just each giving presentations. We start with our topic and discussion, but then we throw it out to the audience because we want to know what they think. So it's not just sitting and watching people present and then walking away. It's much more interactive.
Good.
So that's a good point, and I wanted to stress that.
Yeah. And everybody, again, November 6th through the 8th at the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel, and that's in Asbury Park, New Jersey. We are going to soon be getting a chance to get hotel reservations,
Mhm.
but that's not open yet. So hang on. I'm thinking that maybe this week. What do you think, Kit?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's got to be soon, and it's a great hotel, by the way. I think it's 100 years old. It's a landmark there, and it's been beautifully restored. You're right, like a 5 minute walk from the boardwalk and the ocean. Just a wonderful location.
If you have never seen the New Jersey beaches, I mean, so I grew up with the beaches of Florida and Galveston,
Mhm.
and our beaches are tiny. They're beautiful. They're
Yeah,
beautiful, but they're small. The first time I saw the beach in New Jersey, I just went, my mouth just dropped open.
yeah.
I can It is something that I can't explain to you. You're just going to have to see it for yourselves. It is really, really incredible. And we'll put all the information right here on the screen for you so that and hang on, you will be able to get reservations soon. So, Kit, you have recently, as I said in the intro, joined Things We Said Today. Tell us about your co-presenters incredible, incredible people. What a great group you have. And what a typical show might entail for people who haven't heard this podcast.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm really excited to be a part of it now. I've many people have. I've listened to it for a long time, and it really came out of Talk More Talk, which was the show I was previously with, which was looking mainly at the solo catalog. Well, by last year, Darren DeVivo and Ken Michaels, who are two of the hosts of Things We Said Today, were also on Talk More Talk. And we found ourselves doing many of the same topics, that Things We Said Today would do. And so finally we thought, you know what? We should collapse these shows and just have me come on and be able to then cover a wide range of topics. And so Alan Kozin, of course, is the other host. Very well known, long-time scholar in the Beatles world, and so it's been just a blast to be part of the show. And typically, we sometimes our shows are just the four of us, where we're discussing, different topics. We do reviews, that kind of thing, and then we have guests. A lot of times we have guests come on, and we've had some terrific ones. We've had Bruce Sugar, Lawrence Juber, Mark Lewison. When he had that Evolver 62 documentary, he came on. It was a great interview. And we have many more shows coming up, both with us and with guests. One that's coming up soon is with Luca Perassi, who many of you know from his books on Paul McCartney's catalog, and he's always a blast to talk to. So we're going to have him. So we've got a lot more episodes planned, and so it's a bit of everything. It's an interview show, it's a discussion show, it's a review show, it's news. Ken Michaels always shares his news, so it has a little bit of everything I think you'd want
Yeah.
in a show.
And do you do it weekly or?
Roughly every other week. Now that can change if our schedules don't match, or we can only get somebody we want to interview at a particular time. But it's roughly every other week.
Wow, that is a lot of preparation. I
Yeah.
mean, really, I mean, I know all four of you know all of this off the top of your heads, but obviously, once you hone in on a topic, like Luca's new book,
Hmm.
and you do your research, that's a lot every other week. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's worth it. And actually, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a panel at the conference, and we are going to be talking about how Revolver has changed over time in terms of critical reception, and how, particularly in ranking lists. I mean, I remember, I'm sure you do too, Jude, in the 80s, was always Sergeant Pepper was always ranked as the best Beatles album, by critics and all that. But how times have changed, now, I mean, and Sergeant Pepper's still a incredible album, and it's still rated highly, but Revolver really has worked its way up, and Abbey Road too.
Yeah.
Those two. So that's what we're going to talk about in our presentation. And as I said, get loads of people in the audience to weigh in. What happened?
Yeah.
What caused this change?
I can tell you for me, it
Mm.
was Robert Rodriguez's book,
Mm-hmm.
How the Beatles Reimagined Rock and Roll. I mean, I hated Revolver. I was like, this is the worst album ever. I remember crying and saying, what has happened? I was crying. And now I absolutely love it. But it took that book to open my eyes. And Robert Rodriguez, the author, is going to be at EF4. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when I finally got it. And I think it took a lot of people a lot of time to transition from She Loves You, Yeah, 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 and Anytime at All, as we were talking about, to things like Taxman.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly. Or Tomorrow Never Knows. I mean, that was, that must have been mind blowing for people, were expecting.
that's what I was crying about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What
Exactly.
the John Lennon?
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
that's great. Now, tell us about your other equally wonderful podcast,
Mhm.
the Toppermost of the Poppermost.
Okay, Toppermost the Poppermost. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and as you mentioned at the top of the show, co-stars Ed Chen and Martin Quibell, who also host the podcast When They Was Fab. And we decided to join forces because kind of, this plays into my interest of, I love learning about what the Beatles were listening to, what influenced them. We are tracing the Beatles' history on the charts from their debut in 62 and hopefully all the way through until 1970. And we look at the Beatles songs, obviously, but what we also look at are other songs that were on the charts at the same time. And not every single one. I mean, we wouldn't be able to cover them all, but artists who either influenced the Beatles, had some connection with them, or were just so hugely popular at the time
Yeah,
that you can't not talk about them. So it's been a fascinating journey. We go month by month. We look at the UK and US charts.
ooh,
And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback because we have fun too. I mean, it isn't just a dry history. We rate some of the songs on a scale from miss to meh to hit. And and we have a lot of fun because some of the songs that were on the charts in the 60s, a lot of them were great, but there were some really weird novelty kind of stuff and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
I think listening to it gives you more insight into how the Beatles influenced other people,
yeah.
sure, and how they were really setting the tone. I mean, they were ahead of so many artists, but that they were also listening to what other artists were doing and incorporating some of that into their music.
Absolutely. I just saw a thread on Facebook last night where people were discussing the Batman Taxman similarity. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they're
Yep.
even picking up things like that. So, where
Absolutely.
are you on that podcast? What year are you in?
We are in November 65. Now we've actually recorded ahead. We've got other shows in the can coming up, but the ones that have been officially released were November 65.
That's cool. And people can go back and get the early
Yep.
ones and then catch up to you.
Absolutely. Just go to toppermostthepoppermost.net and you'll find all the episodes
Wow.
right there. Yep.
Those are two phenomenal shows. I know you love doing them. I know they love having you on there. So,
It's fun. Absolutely.
but you're also teaching at Monmouth University in the adult education series. In fact, I had asked you to be on a webinar or something last year, and you said, I can't because I have my disco class
Yeah.
that night. I'm like, are you learning to disco dance? And you're like, no, I'm teaching a class
Yeah.
at Monmouth University. And so tell us about that as well as the program that you're doing with Ken as well.
Sure. Well, Ken and I go back to like 96, something like that, where we first met at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois. And we just met each other briefly because I was starting my doctorate as he was finishing his. So, we met, we said hi, we'd see each other in the hall, and then he graduated. I went on my merry way, he did too. And I didn't find out until years later that he was a Beatles scholar. I couldn't believe it. I was looking in the library one day at the University Library, like, oh, I wonder what they have in their Beatles section. And I look and I pull out a book. It may have been Long and Winding Roads. And I pull it and I'm like, Ken Womack couldn't be the same guy, could it? And then I looked it up and of course it was. And I just was floored because I mean, neither of us had any idea that we were Beatles fans. So we ended up reconnecting through that. And then, of course, at that wonderful Altoona conference in 2014, we then really reconnected and started working together on different projects. So it's really been fun. And one of the things that actually he encouraged me to do was teach through Monmouth's adult education program in the arts. And I had done a record club with him. He does this Tuesday night record club series. And he was doing one on "Songs in the Key of Life" by Stevie Wonder, and he knows that's probably, other than a Beatles record, one of my all-time favorite. And so
Really?
he said, come on with me on Zoom, and let's talk about this together." And it just was so much fun that he said, "Hey, would you be interested in teaching some courses?" And so I started, I think it was in 2021, and it was History of Motown was the first one I taught. And ever since, I mean, I've taught, yep, history of disco, as you mentioned, Philly soul, British invasion, history of rock and roll, yacht rock. That was a fun one to do, and I've just covered all different topics. That it's just been so much fun. And this fall, I'm actually starting my next class in September, which is looking at the singer-songwriter movement of the 70s.
Oh,
Yep. I'm looking forward to that because that's some of the earliest music I remember hearing.
like Don McLean, that kind of thing, or
Yeah,
is
exactly. Jim Croce, Gordon
yeah,
Lightfoot, that stuff.
yeah,
Yep. So
yeah.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow,
Yep.
that's awesome. So, Classic for a Reason is a presentation that you two do at Monmouth. Is that something that people can see online?
Yes, they can. You have to register for it, but it's fun. We decided to do a thing where we would look at different albums and really get into an in-depth discussion of why is this album a classic. And what's fun is sometimes we disagree. Because we did one on Pet Sounds, where I'm absolutely I love that album. I absolutely think it's a classic, and Ken was kind of and so we had a fun spirited discussion. We did another one on Radiohead. I'm not a huge Radiohead fan, and Ken is, and so we had differing opinions on that. But then we do episodes where we're 100% agreeing with each other. The
Right.
last one we did was on Buddy Holly, and that was so much fun to do. It was kind of a greatest hits collection that we reviewed. And coming up next month is one that's near and dear to my heart, Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, because I remember that so well from when I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be talking about that in the future. We're going to be talking about Queen's greatest hits, the Plastic Ono Band, so
That was
many others. I mean, we just are having so much fun doing this. But yeah, I would love it if people could come join us. And we want to hear from the group too, not just us talking at each other. We love hearing what our audience thinks of these albums.
right, right. Now, if you ever get to sometime in New York City, I'm your girl.
Yes, I know. I know. We will
The,
keep that in
the
mind.
party of one.
Yep.
Still loving it.
That's awesome. That's great.
I don't know. It speaks to me. What can I say? Well, and tell us a little bit about the work you do for Beatlefan magazine. What sort of articles have you been doing lately for them?
Sure. Well, I've been writing for Beatlefan for probably 30 years, somewhere around there. I mean, it was mid 90s that
Yeah.
I joined, and they were looking for an internet columnist. The internet was new, and Beatles sites were popping up like crazy. And Bill King, the editor and publisher, had put a kind of a notice out in one of the issues saying, "Hey, we're looking for a columnist to cover Beatles sites on the web." And I thought, I had been a long time subscriber, loved it. And I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great to write for them? So I thought this may be my way in. And so I auditioned for the job and got it. And I'm still writing it today. I can't believe all these years later. It's called Hard Day's Net. I did not come up with that title, I have to say. That was Bill. But I also write reviews. I wrote a review recently about Ringo's fantastic last album, Long Long Road. I've also written some features. I do that periodically. I wrote one on Motown and the Beatles, how they influenced each other, things like that. And it's just it's been an honor to be part of this magazine
Yeah.
for so long. It really is. You know what it's like. I mean, it's truly an honor to write for it.
Oh, without a doubt. And then just about the only thing that makes me really, really nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous.
When I have an article coming out, I'm like Janet Davis, my wonderful, I call her Janet Davis, MBE, most brilliant editor. I like Janet, stand by.
Oh, that's great.
So yes, but well, I mean, Kat, how do you fit all this in?
It's It's not easy. It's a lot of work, but it's really fun. I've said many times I never thought I'd be able to combine my job with my hobby. And look what I've done. I mean, it's just really a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. Well, I am so looking forward to seeing you at EF4. And the two of us cannot encourage you, especially people listening on Beatles Radio. And you're thinking, well, should I do this or should I not? You should. You will not regret the weekend. It's not just speakers. There's live music. I know the Black Ties are playing. Who else is playing that weekend, Kit?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't heard. Ken hasn't told me a lot yet, so I'll have to check it out. But it will be a great lineup. Don't you worry. And also, really important, you're going to meet some terrific people.
Yes.
That's the other thing. You're going to meet, musicians, authors, scholars, fans. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And everybody just is so thrilled to be there, and it's a blast. So you'll meet some great people too.
It's fun. It's laughter. I have nothing but good memories of the White Album conference.
Yes.
I really encourage everyone stand by because this week I'm pretty sure it's going to be. I kind of caught it in the wording of the last newsletter
Yeah.
that it's coming out soon. Kit, where can people follow you on social media and what's your website?
Sure. Well, my website is kitotoole.com. You can find me there. You can find me on Facebook. I've got my personal page, Kit O'Toole, and then I've got the professional page, Kit O'Toole Keynotes, it's called. You'll find all my information and what I'm up to and when my classes are coming up. And of course, you can find me on the Things We Said Today page on Facebook, as well as there's one for Toppermost of the Poppermost. So you can join those and keep up to date on our latest episodes.
That is great. And we will have your website right here on the screen for people to see. I mean, guys, this is your opportunity. If you just dipped your toe into the Beatles world and you want to learn more, this is your opportunity. It's very fan friendly. This is not stuff that's above your head. This is stuff that you will enjoy, can contribute to. And you heard Kit say several times, they want feedback. They want people, talking and expressing opinions, and you can be part of it. So join in the fun. Don't just sit and wonder, will I like this? You'll like it.
You'll love it.
Kit, we close every show by asking, what's your favorite John Lennon quote? It doesn't have to be something he said. It can be a lyric, anything, something from his books. What's your favorite?
Okay, well, I thought, boy, this was tough. Yeah, this was really tough to pick just one, but I decided to go with, a topic, and this will not be news to you, Jude, but one of the topics that I find fascinating in John Lennon songs is the theme of sort of moving on from the past.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating aspect of his work to me. You have In My Life, where he is reminiscing very fondly about the past, but then saying, but I love you more. But in my life, I love you more. So saying, you can't just live in the past. You have to also celebrate what you have now. Mother was another one where he was obviously, exercising his demons and about his feelings about his mother and father. But then when he said, I just have to tell you goodbye, as if he's saying, whether he really did or not is another topic, but I'm letting go of this pain. I'm getting it out in the open, and I have to say goodbye and move on. Yeah. So the quote I chose is along those kind of lines, and it's from one of my all-time favorites, Watching the Wheels. I love that song, just, musically, but also lyrically. When he's responding to his critics and friends saying, don't you miss being at the top of your game and being part of the scene. And of course, he sings those wonderful lines. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I really love to watch them roll. No longer riding on the merry-go-round. I just had to let it go. And those lines have just always resonated with me. I mean, that image of the merry-go-round and saying, yeah, sometimes you have to move on to another stage of your life. He's saying, yeah, it was fun. Not always, but a lot of times it was fun. But I'm older now. I'm a dad. I'm 40. Um, it's time to move on to another area of my life. I just had to let it go.
Yeah.
And I just love those lines.
I do too. And you might wonder, and anything I do will always be John Lennon related. We know that. So,
Mhm.
of course, I try to end on a John Lennon quote, but you might wonder, why does she ask that when the show isn't really about John Lennon? I mean, it's about the Beatles in
Mhm.
general. Well, because you just saw a great demonstration of what a Kid O'Toole presentation will be like.
Mhm.
It is fact-based. It takes all of the music into consideration and it touches your heart. And
Mhm.
so that if you're wondering, should I go hear her presentation? Should I listen to her podcast?
Mhm.
Voila, people.
Well, thank you, Jude. That's very sweet of you.
Well, I can't wait to see you in just like what, 3.5 months?
Yeah, not that far away.
It's going to be great. Thank you so much for being on the show. And you just, I mean, you got to be taking it, as John said, one day at a time because
That's right.
like
That's what we could do. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it.
we will see you soon. And to everyone out there, we appreciate you joining us both on Beatlesorama Radio and on the YouTube channel and everywhere. Thank you so much for being with us. We hope to see you November 6th through the 8th, Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel, Asbury Park, New Jersey, at EF4. Thank you all, and ta and shine on.